Welcome into CHGO White Sox, presented by PointsBet. Live your bet life when you sign up using the promo code CHGO. Welcome into CHGO White Sox. I'm your host, Sean Anderson. Alongside me, is Herb Lawrence and Vinnie Duber. First, we got to go to the man in the sunglasses and the mustache, Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He is clearly at a baseball field. And the man in the middle, mostly to my right now, Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Follow CHGO White Sox at CHGO_White Sox. Follow CHGO Sports at CHGO_Sports. We are coming to you live from our homes. Well, me and Herb are, and Vinny, your new home for the next week or so. How's Arizona?
Arizona's nice, guys. Do you want me to tell you the truth, or do you want me to spare your feelings?
No, tell us the truth.
Yeah,
well, the truth is it is in the mid-70s right now, and there's not a cloud in the sky. You got this baseball diamond behind me. It feels like, it doesn't feel like spring. It feels like summer right now here in AZ. So I know I'm making everybody very upset back in snowy Chicago, but hey, authenticity. This is it. I'm reporting live from the scene of the White Sox right now. So there you go.
To quote a line from Encanto, there doesn't look like there's a cloud in the sky.
I haven't been able to see that one yet, Herb. I'm going to take your word for it, but you're correct that there is not a cloud in the sky on this beautiful Arizona Saturday.
And honestly, it's not even the details. It's more of the smile, just the natural smile of you talking about it.
Glasses,
you're just like,
too.
I escaped. Ha, ha, ha. I escaped. You're still stuck in Chicago. We get it. It's nice in Arizona, Vinny. Glad you're enjoying it. You got to see some old faces, and we're excited to talk to you about that. Today on CHGO White Sox, we'll have an icebreaker to, breaking stuff up. I mean, Vinny's already melted out there in AZ. We'll also be talking about why I'm sad here. Carlos Rodón is making a lot more money, which is good for him. I'm happy for him for that. But Carlos Rodón is now a San Francisco Giant. We'll talk about what that means. We'll also talk about the Minnesota Twins getting worse, which I know Herb loves. And we'll start off with why Vinny is currently having a baseball field behind him. He's in Arizona. He got to see some old faces. We'll talk about that first up. But let's go to the icebreaker because we have something that was a complete hot take. Our guy, Patrick Nolan from Sox Machine, the editor over at Sox Machine, said, my hot take, Adam Engel is actually better than Michael Conforto. I actually think Engel is pretty good, but because they complement each other so well, and because Engel's body doesn't seem to intend on letting him play consistently, Conforto is a pretty good idea. And he tried to escape it just 2 hours ago by saying, every so often when I'm half drunk and about to go to bed, I just try to start a fire like this so I have something fun to wake up to. So I don't know if I believe Pino's there. You tweet something out and then you backtrack, the next day. I don't know about that, Patrick, but let's talk about this. Engel versus Conforto. We've talked that right field might be all right with the three, Engel, Sheets, and Vaughn. Engel, Sheets, and Vaughn. I mean, we were kind of in agreement in a way. We just talked about Conforto for the first time yesterday before Vinny went on that flight. And now he's sideways. Vinny, what do you think about Michael Conforto versus Adam Engel? Oh, and now we can't hear Vinny.
You don't have his voice.
Hey-oh. He was all sideways. Now we can't hear him. He's talking, though. I bet his thoughts are great. And now he's gone. Maybe his phone died. Herb, we'll go to you before we hear Vinny. Vinny, if give us a shot one more time. Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, we can't get Vinny. All right, Herb, Engel versus Conforto, and we'll try to work out the kinks with Vinny out in Arizona.
I don't think there's a thing there. Conforto's the superior player. If we're just talking about being a fielder, yes, you can say Engel and Conforto are close, or Engel has the advantage there, as P. Knowles was alluding to. But no way is Adam Engel anywhere near the stratosphere of what Michael Conforto is. Michael Conforto this year will probably get a deal somewhere in a $20 million range per year deal. Adam Engel's probably never going to see that, as he is older than Michael Conforto, and he's never put up the offensive seasons that Michael Conforto has done. So yeah, it's as he said, he probably is trying to do a fire starter thing, but no, when I saw that, I just ignored it because I love Patrick Nolan. I didn't want to, go too much on him, too hard on him.
Oh, we love P-Knowles, and again, it's we're just poking the bear. I mean,
Yeah.
he's providing content with his hot take, and even though we can't hear Vinny's great voice, we can't see him, which is a positive, and it's a great Arizona background right there. But it's kind of what Vinny has been talking about. Like right field doesn't need an upgrade in his mind. He thinks second base needs more of an upgrade. Leury can't be the everyday player there at second base, and right field. I mean, you have three guys that are capable. They might not be $80 million worth of one player in Michael Conforto, but you have three guys that might be capable of playing the outfield. I know some people don't want to see Andrew Vaughn play right field. Again, I know Sheets is very green out there, and Engel obviously has the defensive prowess, but the bat lacks a little bit. I know it's not crazy, but I don't think P-Knowles is nuts on this. I just think he might have phrased it the wrong way by saying Conforto's better.
You think he's crazy on that one. It doesn't make sense. I mean, yes, if you're saying for the value and how much Adam Engel's making and how much you're going to have to pay Michael Conforto, then I can go with you there. You can say that Adam Engel is the better value player than what Michael Conforto can bring to you for the money you're going to pay for him. But if we're just going apples to apples, no, absolutely not. There's nobody in here that has ever said when we've had these shows, like, we can just have Adam Engel out in right field and we'll be smooth.
Yeah, well, and the issue too is I think you saw the injuries of last year. It felt like his body was breaking down a little bit on him, and even when he was trying to rehab in AAA, it didn't seem like a really successful rehab. So you hope that the health is there. That's the biggest concern. Like if we had a healthy Adam Engel and we got to see him in 2021, I think we'd feel a lot better about that position because again, his bat was coming around. We do have some stats. I know we're having some production issues, mainly with Vinny's end, but we do have some stats. We'll go to Adam Engel first. Here's Adam Engel from 2019 to 2021. 2019 was a full year from him. Obviously, 2020 was a full year for nobody. Herb likes to call it the Mickey Mouse season. And he only played in 2021. He only played about 39 games. So he didn't get a full season last year, 89 games in 2019, but over 164, 256, 319, 434 slash line. I mean, 750 OPS for a bench right fielder isn't bad. No. 101 OPS, again, only 60 games in the past 2 years, or about 60 games in the past 2 years. But I mean, there are stats there. And again, the most positive thing about him is fielding. So, I mean, if you're getting an above average hitter with good fielding, again, it's a great bench piece in my mind. And if you have two other guys, he might be right, honestly.
No, he's not right. That's 100% not right. Let's start there. He is incorrect in his assessment that Adam Engel is better than Michael Conforto. Adam Engel is a above average hitter and a way above average fielder. That is what he is. Now, we always say availability is the best ability. With these soft tissue injuries, Adam Engel, you said, not 39 games last year? That can't do it. Yes, I would love to see this version of Adam Engel, the retooled swing, the Frank Menachino, fuck the home run swing, be given 150 games to someone. Maybe not the White Sox. I think the White Sox can get away with it. That's why the right field position, I was like, we'll be fine in the aggregate. That player would be all right with those three platooning. But I wouldn't want to give any of the three guys just carte blanche on right field. Firstly, they've really never played there, except for Adam Engel. He's played there as a outfielder, as a replacement outfielder. But the other two are just first basemen who are just out there because of necessity. So if we can get Michael Conforto, even though I've said, the right field position's fine, I would take Michael Conforto today, tomorrow, and the next day.
Well, yeah, I'm not against them upgrading, and I mean it is a huge upgrade. I mean, you look at, obviously we're not taking in the factor of Andrew Vaughn and Gavin Sheets right now. Too, it's those two plus Engel. But you look at Conforto right there, 824 OPS in the past 2 years, 123 OPS plus. But you look at last year. Great on base. Yeah. Delicious. 365 right there, 167 walks. And over the past 3 years, he's been 60 walks last year, which is, that was Schwarber's hit or level that I like him to be at. I like the fact that he was hitting 30 bombs and drawing 60 walks. Conforto didn't hit 30 bombs last year, but drew 59 walks. So very good eye, 84 walks back in 2019 too. So, great on base, like you mentioned. But the thing too is, people are worried at least about Conforto's production last year. And in those 39 games that Adam Engel played, he had a 1.6 WAR. Michael Conforto played 125 games last year and had a 0.8 WAR. There was more volume there, and he just was not productive for the Mets. And now you see that they're looking to trade more veteran players. They Dom Smith's name's being floated out there. Jeff McNeil, JD Davis, his name being floated out there. Like, I mean, I don't know if the Mets are even making a play on Conforto, and it's not like he's been injured. Like, it's not like a Carlos Rodon thing where the Sox might have enough information on him where they don't want to take a risk on his medicals. But Conforto's had a fairly clean bill of health, and it doesn't even seem like the Mets want to entertain him, even though they have the largest payroll in the MLB right now.
Yeah,
maybe that's the factor. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he's been there, and probably last year soured him. I mean, the injuries, and then when he came back, he played 125 games, as you said. He was an under 1-win B-War guy. So they probably are saying the same thing. You're like, I didn't like that injury year. It's a walk year, and he really didn't do a lot for us. I mean, most of his value was in getting you on base with us with the 59 walks in 125 games. We're moving on. We can go and get bigger players. We can sign these players because our owner has an endless checkbook there and not afraid to spend some money. So, yeah, they might be shedding some payroll as far as getting rid of Jack McNeil, Dom Smith, guys coming up with some big payrolls, and then refreshing that with Steve Cohen's big-time paycheck. So I can see a retooling out there in New York, and they've probably seen enough of what Mike Conforto can do, and paying him $20 million might not be in their thing. And we'll get to the Carlos Rodon thing. It kind of might be the same type of thing. Like, hey, we've seen this guy. He's been injured too much, but he has flash in the pan. But if you guys want to pay him $22 million, be our guest. We're not.
Yeah, and production said that we're going to try to get Vinny back, and boom, here we are. And I hear him too. What's up, Vinny?
Hey guys, I'm back. I'm on the laptop now. The sunglasses, I'm under a canopy. You know what? I'm still at Camelback Ranch. Trust me. You just have to trust me. I'm looking out over here. I can still see the mountains. We're still in Arizona here. We just had to relocate to a different part of the park with better internet service. How about that?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about Arizona here. How's it been? How's it been seeing familiar faces? Who you've seen? Who you talked to? What's been the scoop over down in AZ?
Yeah, not everybody's here yet. Obviously tomorrow is the main report day for everybody. But yeah, I mean, we saw, I think we saw plenty on the internet of Tim Anderson and Andrew Vaughn, the day before, Lance Lynn, Liam Hendricks. Today we got to talk to Liam Hendricks, but we also saw Dallas Keuchel, Yasmani Grandal. So there's some guys here in addition to all the minor league guys as well. So, but yeah, we got to talk to Tony La Russa on a couple of different occasions today. And you know what? It's already, we're right in the swing of things. We're already getting news and notes from spring training, getting ready to see where people are going to be playing for the 2022 season. But yeah, we're getting right back into the swing of things. No problem.
You had some news. I don't know if you can break it, so let me know if you don't. But Herb mentioned a jersey some people should get. If they should get a jersey this year, they should get. You had some news about him, right?
Yeah, quickly becoming a celeb. A regular feature on our program. Herb's jersey recommendation of Anderson Severino. Yeah, Tony mentioned that he might be late to arrive with some visa stuff going on, which is not unsurprising for some of those guys coming from all over the world. I think we thought that was going to be the case whenever this lockout was going to end. That everybody's always all of a sudden got to pick up and scramble. So I think Tony had mentioned even guys like Jose Abreu and Eloy Jimenez who might not be here right tomorrow, but they're working on getting here, coming from all the different places that everybody's coming from. So, but yes, an Anderson Severino mention, a Sean Anderson Severino mention, if you will, on the first day of Sox camp.
Herb's guy. We love to see that. So you talked to Tony, the big man. How's he been? What was the vibe from Tony? And I know he broke some news. We'll get into that, but vibe check Tony La Russa. I mean, how's he been? Was it nice to see your old pal?
Listen, when you got Tony La Russa, the Hall of Famer, the guy who's been doing this forever, I think the answer is that he's always the same, right? He was talking all about how he was getting sick and tired of sitting around waiting and sitting around watching and ready to get to work. So that's no surprise there coming from Tony La Russa. Again, you asked me how Tony La Russa is. I don't know. I'm not allowed to ask Tony La Russa how Tony La Russa is. There's no game to be played today, and he's still putting the kibosh on that.
I was about to say there's no game, so there's nothing to be upset about, Tony. You got weeks. You still got a week, I guess, until even spring training starts. But at least it's good to see Tony.
The sweet hat he was wearing, though, that's nice.
Oh, the new spring training hats are nice.
That's the new spring training hat. They're okay. What happened to spring training hats? Why are they so flimsy in the back now? They used to be remember they used to be just like the soft. They used to be like the softer version of the regular hat. And now they're like kind of quasi trucker hats. They're like, there's nothing going on past the front little part there.
And honestly, some of the actual logo designs on the front, like for some teams, the Sox are lucky because they don't have a lot of ugly logos. But I mean, some of the teams are really, really rough, and I don't really love the new. I'm not a new era guy, so I don't really screw around with the new era hats.
They're all hit or miss. I'll tell you what, a couple of my favorites of all time have been recent ones though, and that was the Rockies, the recent Rockies one where it was the sea
Agreed.
and the mountains with the Colorado flag in it. That was great. And then that A's one, just the white elephant on the green hat, looks tremendous.
When I saw you guys had a little thing with the closer Liam Hendriks, did he say anything outrageous that's noteworthy, or did he talk about his favorite show, Friends, today?
He did not. He gave us a movie review of The Batman, which he went to see the other day. So
spoilers too for people.
No spoilers, just mood. Just he was commenting on its kind of dourness. Apparently, I haven't seen it yet, but that's
very
no
dark.
Surprise. That's no surprise coming from DC. I'm a Marvel guy. I want it to be a little fun, but yeah, the Liam is talking all about how he was spending the lockout going around to random fields in the Phoenix area, just playing catch and stuff. That's very, very on brand for Liam Hendriks. I asked him if they were booted off for any Little League practice, and he said, unfortunately, that didn't happen. They must have been going during school hours or something like that.
If we had access to Liam Hendriks down in Arizona, we would find a Little League team for him to strike out. I would love to see Liam Hendriks. He only walked 7 guys last year. He's got the control. I mean, kids might be afraid of the 97, but it might be some entertainment if we could see if one kid would step in the box against a major leaguer. I saw Matt from Oakland checking in the chat saying that we're sneaking in this episode. We are our guy Vinnie sneaking down to AZ, so we gotta talk to him about that. And I want to mention now, going back to Tony. I mean, he broke a couple news pieces. One of them about Kopech. I think that's probably the most worrying one. There's some other stuff about Craig Kimbrell that's a little less worrying. And I think even his quote about being a championship team ready quote was interesting as well. But the Kopech stuff, could you explain that and what's really the situation with Kopech? Because he's arrived, right?
He wasn't here today that I've seen, but I think the idea is that they hadn't been able to talk to these guys for 3 months, and so it's now kind of like we can't ask how are they doing because they don't know, but they can say, well, we talked to him and this is what he told us, kind of thing. Michael Kopech, we'll see, man. I don't know. It was odd the way it was phrased, certainly. And I think that there's the overarching thing of this should be that they haven't been able to work with these guys for 3 months. And so when it comes to how guys are doing, what guys are going to be expected to do during the regular season, at this early stage of this very short camp, you just got to realize that the coaches maybe don't know. They maybe don't know because they haven't been able to work with them for months like they normally would. That being said, we saw Lance Lynn show up yesterday and throw 2 innings in live BP, or the folks who were here today. This is my first day here. We saw Dallas Keuchel show up today and throw live BP for 2 innings. We heard from Tony today that Michael Kopech has not thrown any live BP yet. I don't know if that was to compare it to the other guys on the team who had been doing that during the lockout. I'm not sure. We also heard him mention, that there were a couple reasons for that maybe, but Tony basically not questioning so much as wondering aloud what Michael Kopech is going to be like when he shows up here. And he mentioned that, the guy hasn't thrown a live BP yet. He's thrown a bullpen apparently, or 2, at least that's what Tony's heard, but we'll see. I think when it just kind of adds to that question mark, doesn't it? I mean, it's right. This is, what did we talk about? What was that yesterday when we were talking about spring storylines? And we were saying, well, Michael Kopech's got to be one of the top ones because we don't, this was going to be an important spring for him to get ready to pitch as a full-time starter for the entirety of the year. He gets that spring shortened, and now we're hearing, more things that add to the question mark. So I don't think there's any reason for anybody to think that, Michael Kopech's not going to be a part of this rotation or anything like that. But Tony pointed out, he said a 6-week camp usually gets a guy ready to throw 100 pitches by opening day. They don't have that. They've got a little more than 3 weeks. And Michael Kopech is obviously at a different point in his career than the other guys that make up that rotation. So you're talking about Lance Lynn needing a 6-week camp, or Dallas Keuchel or Lucas Giolito or Dylan Cease needing a 6-week camp to be ready to throw 100 pitches on opening day. Who knows what Michael Kopech needed before the lockout was a thing. Now that there is such a short camp, who knows what Michael Kopech will need to be able to be ready to do what he needs to do for opening day, or does it mean that the White Sox need to get even more creative than they were planning on being with him?
Speaking of that live BP you're talking about, what's your assessment of Dallas Keuchel's outing today? I know it's the first time he's been on the bump. I have my own thoughts on it. I just want to see what you want to think, what you thought about it.
Yeah, I'm no scout. I'm not. I can't pick apart his delivery like some folks can, obviously. So I can go based on results. Listen, he got the ground balls that he wants to get. Right. I mean, we saw most of those. A couple of them snuck through the infield there in the brief time that he was on the mound. I think the good news for White Sox fans out of Dallas Keuchel's 2 innings were Yoelqui Cespedes. He was able to show a few tools. He blasted a ball to center field, went off the center fielder's glove on the warning track out there, and then stole third base. So
nice.
The results for Dallas Keuchel in this very, very unofficial outing on the mound were not what Dallas probably wanted to see. But again, at this time of year, you're just arriving at camp. It's about how you feel, how your body feels. We're going to see a lot of that kind of thing, not from Dallas, but from everybody once these spring training games start, because the spring training games are starting so much earlier in the spring calendar than they're used to them starting when spring training is normal.
This is a special edition of the CHGO White Sox podcast presented by PointsBet. Use code CHGO when you sign up to live your bet life. The best way to support CHGO is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. If you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com and we will help you. Remember that PointsBet is your home for live in-game betting. They even have a new exclusive feature, live NBA same-game parlays. And now online sign-up is available in Illinois. It's back. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register your account from start to finish, all from your phone. Again, use code CHGO and you will get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000. And if you make a first-time deposit of $50 or more using that code CHGO, you will get a free CHGO membership. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. And something that you mentioned, I mean, I'm hoping Michael Kopech's having like a Rocky IV training montage right now down in Texas. He's working on the farm. He's just getting bulked up right now. He's ready to throw 200 innings. Tony's just got to unleash the stallion. That's what I'm hoping for. I know that the hope is maybe 130 innings for Kopech, and that would be nice to see. But again, the concerns that you bring up about a 6-week camp do have me worried. And let's talk about Dallas Keuchel, because part of the reason why I've been so at least toxic about the Dallas Keuchel topic is just because I think that they needed to upgrade that position. And
was that you, Sean? Was that you, Sean, that sicked everybody on me on Twitter yesterday with Dallas Keuchel? Or I have a feeling it was me stepping in it myself, but I maybe you were behind the scenes pulling the strings. I don't know.
Yeah, behind the scenes was pretty rough once we ended the podcast yesterday for the CHGO White Sox podcast. But I just, Carlos Rodon signs for, and this is, Herb wanted to mention this, Richard Hogue, who is Adam Hogue's dad, Adam Hogue's dad. I just pulled a Les Grobstein there. Yes, Adam Hogue. Richard Hogue is Adam's dad. You know Adam for a long time there, Herbie.
Yeah, and he said, is Vinnie related to Ted Lasso? I mean, no?
Vinnie?
Not that I know of, but you never know where that lineage, where you do the 23andMe, who knows where it leads.
I think Ted Lasso would be related to Vinny, because Vinny had the mustache first.
There you go. Yeah, Jason Sudeikis is a poser.
Stop it.
He grew it just for the show. Let's go back to the beard, though, in Dallas Keuchel. And, I look at it, and I think that even you mentioned, Herb, the ground ball rate. Like 2020, when he had a really good year, his ground ball rate was 52%. It was 54% last year. He was good at getting ground balls last year. He was also getting hit harder. And now with Carlos Rodon being a San Francisco Giant, he signed yesterday, 2 years, $44 million. There is an option in that second year, so it could just be a 1-year, $22 million deal. But Carlos Rodon signs with the San Francisco Giants. Obviously, I had a very strong reaction, and I honestly am having a strong reaction just talking about it right now. So I'll go to you guys to break the ice. Herb, what was your reaction? Because I think mine was clearly visceral, and people saw it probably on Twitter.
Mine was,
you guys saw it too, because I blew up in front of you.
Mine was good for Carlos. I was of the mind that Carlos Rodon was gone. Like, the fact that the White Sox didn't extend him the qualifying offer said a lot to me. Said, hey, he's not coming back. He's not going to be taking that hometown discount of that $3 million he got last year to up his value. And congratulations, $22 million for 2 years is a nice deal. San Francisco's going to treat him right. They've done a lot of retooling of people's career, like Gaussman. I think you said Logan Webb, Johnny Cueto, who's now gone from there. He's going to have a great time out there, and we're going to see him. 4th of July weekend, the White Sox go out to San Francisco. So I'm happy for the man. And yeah, it would have been all right if the White Sox re-signed him. Actually, it would have been really solid if the guy is healthy. But
now you're on my side.
But for $22 million, a little too much for the White Sox for an uncertainty right there with the Carlos Rodon. You don't know the guy you're going to get.
And
yeah,
Vinnie,
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with Herb. I mean, listen, the White Sox said they didn't want to offer him a 1-year, $18.4 million. They didn't feel comfortable doing it. That was not the price that they put on a 1-year deal for Carlos Rodon, and they know him better than anybody. So you'd have to think that they had their reasons, and I mean, obviously they had their reasons, but like I said, they know him better than anybody. I don't think that Carlos Rodon tricked the San Francisco Giants or anything like that, but I think that the question marks that surround him are perfectly reasonable ones, and I hope that he goes to California and takes his big payday and goes out and answers those questions, because I think certainly White Sox fans should be rooting for him out there. When it comes to the White Sox and a reunion that never happened, right. They had the opportunity to do it, and they made their decision not to, and they have to know why they didn't think Carlos Rodon was worth $18.4 million for 1 year. And the Giants didn't. The Giants disagreed. Right. The Giants disagreed, and maybe the Giants are saying, we saw what happened last year, and that's what we're gonna go with. The White Sox have the entirety of the career to look at, and they know what they can do that for that.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what Rick Hahn says, if anything, about it. Obviously he's going to be happy for him because he's been in the organization for a long time. He's worked very hard for the organization, and he deserved a payday. I mean, again, the most thing that I feel happy for, I mean, of course I'm going to be, trying to be entertaining on Twitter, but I'm mostly happy for Carlos Rodon. I mean, he just got paid. You've mentioned his wife, Ashley, before, Herb. Like, I mean, she's his diehard fan. Like, it's so nice to see the support and just the family. He has 2 young daughters, I think. Or 2 young children. And, it just seems like he is such a family guy. He loves baseball. He's got a Twitch stream. Like, he's really relatable. And it's great to see his hard work pay off. And I don't think he tricked the San Francisco Giants. I love that a 107-win team feels the threat of the Dodgers breathing down their neck. And they're like, all right, even if it is a 50-50 shot, we are going to make an aggressive new move to make our team better. Carlos Rodon makes any team better. He would have made the White Sox better. And I guess that was my big feeling, is that I think that, especially with the place the White Sox are in, you need to make your team better. You need to improve. And the Giants realized that. That's why they went and made this move. And I know that the healths are a big concern. The Sox know more than anyone about that. And it feels like they had a disagreement back in September, Vinny, right? About like, it really felt like Scott Boras and Carlos Rodon was like, no, my shoulder's fine. And that's why we saw him go pitch out against the Reds in September. And he was, only hitting around 91, 93 tops. But he still had an effective 5+ inning outing. And then, we see him held out for the rest of the season. It was kind of a shock that he was on the postseason roster. He has an explosive first inning against the Astros, hitting 99 miles per hour, setting guys down, looking like the ace he was. But then it really felt like the White Sox were like, no, we want to take our time with him. And so it really even felt like, not very overtly, but it did feel like there was probably some sort of a disagreement on where his health was.
I don't know if disagreement is the right word, more so than people, I think the White Sox wanted him to pitch. Yeah, the White Sox wanted him to pitch, and they saw a guy who was getting more and more fatigued to the point where he was going out there and not even making it through 3 or 4 innings. And they said, that's the guy we need to pitch for us in the playoffs. We got to do everything we can possible to make sure. And they had great success earlier in the season with extending that time between his starts. You'll remember, I mean, he was getting a week between starts on a fairly regular basis throughout the first half of the season, and he was dynamite. So right. I think they were looking at that as something that greatly benefited him. Why wouldn't they try to do it at the end of the year when everything matters most, to try and get the most out of him that they could during the playoffs? And that's what ended up happening. I think Carlos Rodon, I know Carlos Rodon is very sick of talking about his injury history. He's very sick of that being his headline. And last year, he was able to turn that around and make it so his performance was his headline. And then the end of the season rolls around, and he's stuck talking about his health again. That's frustrating for him. Plus, he's got an agent who wants to go out and get him a multi-year deal in the offseason. He doesn't want the headline for Carlos Rodon to be that he's hurt. So Carlos Rodon wasn't hurt at the end of last season, to my knowledge, to what the White Sox told us. He was tired, but he was tired to the point that his shoulder was tired to the point that he wasn't able to pitch as much as he would have been otherwise. So maybe you get this full off season and he rests up and his shoulder is just as good as it was at the beginning of last season. And I think that's what the Giants are banking on. And maybe that's what the medical reports yield. But the White Sox just went through a year in which he had an enormous jump in innings. I mean, we talked about the other day how he barely pitched in 2020. He had an enormous jump in innings, and we were seeing it with guys whose headline haven't been their health, guys like Giolito and Lynn, who went on the IL at the end of the year. So I think Carlos Rodon is not injured right now, but that being said, you just went through the best season of his career, and at the end of the year, you didn't know if he was going to be able to pitch.
Yeah, and I'm looking at his stats, and the 132 innings is by far his most innings he's thrown since 2016, where he threw 165 innings. So he was really tired. He was exhausted by the end of that. With a 2.37 ERA, I would do the same. And the White Sox, I think, treated him right at the end of the year. He was just gassed with 132 innings in the regular season because he hadn't done that since 2016, where he had posted those good numbers, posting 28 starts that year. And I am not a fan. I mean, I'm not opposed to what the White Sox did with him during the season. And then after the season saying, great year. We appreciate you. Go and find your money somewhere else, kid.
Yeah, and I'm glad he did find his money. And I go back to the qualifying offer, and I don't want to bog down on it too much, but if he was able to get $22 million from a different team, like I still don't understand the idea of not attaching the qualifying offer, because you could have gotten a draft pick, Herb. It just seems so weird because we are always big on the process, and I don't understand the process, I guess, of this move, because if you do understand that some team might pay over that qualifying offer for him, why wouldn't you attach a draft pick for him so you could get something in advance? And maybe, that would scare away teams. I know Jim Margulis mentioned on Sox Machine when they did their player review for Carlos Rodon that might drive away people from even making an offer to him. But, at the end of the day, I look at that, and if he accepts the offer at the end of the day, you get him for 1 year. It's low risk, and it is better than market value. If you can get it for 18.4 and a team's getting it for 22, I mean, you are getting somewhat of a hometown discount in some way, or you're getting a draft pick.
Yeah,
but that's not what the White Sox thought in November, though. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about your opinion on this.
Yeah. And for sure. I guess,
and it's very clearly different than what the White Sox opinion was. The White Sox didn't want to give Carlos Rodon $18 million to pitch next year. And so they said, we're not going to even take the chance that he says yes. And yeah, in the end, he ends up making more, and he very well could have said no to that qualifying offer, and that could have been how it worked out. But if he says yes, then they're stuck giving him $18 million to a player they don't want to give $18 million to when they got other things to do to their roster, and they already have a high payroll.
And I'm thinking the White Sox have somebody else they have in mind they can give $18 million to, or upwards to that. I think I brought this up with you, Sean. I think about Jake Odorizzi. I think his year he was ready to walk, the Minnesota Twins had a qualifying offer for him, and he accepted it. It's very rare to see somebody accept it, and he came back, and he wasn't as good in 2020. And the uncertainty of this offseason, too, I think went into the White Sox decision, too, because maybe Carlos Rodon says, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen after this lockout. I'm going to sign that deal. I'm going to take that qualifying offer that the White Sox sent out to me, and just has some type of stability in my life. I like this team. They've raised me as a pup. I'll stay here. If they're going to give me $18.4 million, that's a huge $15 million raise. I'll take it all day long.
The thing with Odorizzi too, I mean, he accepted the qualifying offer, and then he began the season on the injured list. So, I mean, part of that was injury as well. And Matt Ryan said the old adage of there is not such thing as a bad 1 year deal. Adam Eaton exists, so I don't know about that, Matt Ryan. So not every 1 year deal is the same. I guess, Vinny, I'm glad this is kind of the last time we'll talk about Carlos Rodon, maybe until July, or, not ever. So before we go into our favorite Carlos Rodon moments, I just have one more final thing that's popping around in this brain. And Herb, I want you to answer this too. But Scott Boras, obviously super agent. They've had some, arguments with him back and forth. They've had some, tense moments, I guess, not arguments, tense moments back and forth. They've had some good moments. Obviously, Dallas Keuchel's an agent of Scott Boras, and he signed a big deal with the Sox. Yasmani Grandal signed a big deal with the Sox, and he's a Boras agent, I believe. And Dylan Cease just signed with Scott Boras. Is there anything there where, we're not going to put the qualifying offer on Carlos that will bump up his AAV for some other team, and maybe we can get a Dylan Cease deal done? Like, is it a good faith deal behind doors between Rick Hahn and Scott Boras? That's the final theory I have, and then I'm done. I'll shut up about Carlos Rodon, and we'll talk about good memories, and then we'll end it. All right?
Well, you used the word theory, and I think that's accurate because that was some very conspiracy theory type stuff coming out of your mouth right there. But I mean, listen, we have no way of knowing that, right? I mean, like, Rick Hahn's not going to tell us that. No, Scott Boras isn't going to tell us that. I would tend to say no, that sounds a little nuts, but
right. But when a Cease extension gets done in the next 2 weeks, I mean, then we'll have a big,
then you'll get the bulletin board out with all the yarn tied to everything, right. And
go real Charlie Day in our conference room in there. Herb, I mean, Scott Boras and the Sox don't get along. I was reading the whole thing about A-Rod back in 2000 when he was a free agent. They were. I mean, this is a long history between Jerry, Kenny, and Scott Boras, and now Rick Hahn's in this too. I mean, anything here? I mean, Beefloaf was the one that wrote it up, so it's not. I'll blame him.
I mean,
passing the conspiracy theory buck, unbelievable.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know if Scott Boras works that way, but Rick and him seem to have a good relationship where Kenny and Jerry did not. And so, if Rick is doing something like that, hey, do it, because Dylan Cease to a long-term deal is a thing that I would love to have. But on the other hand, Scott Boras clients are not necessarily guys who like to sign before they hit their market. I think I saw Steven Strasburg was a guy who signed before he hit the market, and I don't know any other players who are Scott Boras clients that do that. So I would be very surprised if Dylan Cease signed a deal. When I saw him sign with Scott Boras, I was like, okay, he's going to hit free agency when he hits it, and he's not going to be signing a long-term deal with the White Sox. I would love to be wrong. That'd be excellent, because Dylan Cease, I think, is ascending to a Cy Young Award winner.
Well, and he doesn't have the injury history yet. Obviously, I think I worry a little bit about him just because of his size and how fast he throws. But I do like his mechanics. It does seem very fluid. Very stretched out dude.
Disc golf is getting him right.
Disc golf is good, and I do like that. I think it's part of Carlos Rodon. I mean, like, they were good buddies. They were doing a trading card opening session there. They're both Georgia boys, or at least Southern boys. Like, it makes sense that I think that he probably bonded with Rodon, and then he was like, well, Rodon now making $22 million with Boras, he's probably gave a good recommendation to Cease. So I don't know. And yes, I am recording from in a jungle. I needed to upgrade this. My mom was upset that this sweater was always behind me with Locked On Sox, so I put the White Sox sweatshirt, upgrade the background, put some tissue paper here, and then I got some what's it called, little vines here. And there's no tinfoil hat in me right now, or on my head right now, but I can go to the kitchen if we want to, because we are broadcasting from home. All right, so in 2000, from 2000 to 2021, the Sox saw 4 no-hitters, 1 perfect game, 3 no-hitters, 1 perfect game. Mark Burley threw a no-hitter. We have a perfect game from Mark Burley, a perfect game from Phil Umber, and a no-hitter from Carlos Rodon.
I was going to say, Umber erasure right there. You can't do that.
And hey, I mean, Ed Farmer did it right away. Ed Farmer saying, perfect game at US Cellular. But I think that, we should have
put the Lucas Giolito one there, right?
Oh man, no, I didn't. All right, so I'm brutal. 3 no hitters, 2 perfect games. All right, so let's run down those. Carlos Rodon, where does it rank in recent White Sox no hitter perfect game lore?
I would say, if we're ranking these things,
if you want to do, if it's 5, so it should be pretty easy to rank them.
I mean, I think the Mark Burley perfect game was the best of the bunch.
Agreed.
Usually, you do a perfect game, you have a plan there, and Mark Burley did 3 games where he faced the minimum. That perfect game, I think, was his best, even though I think the close one is the Texas Rangers one that happened on April 18th. He was filthy that day. I think he only walked Sammy Sosa and then immediately picked him off. So It's Burley. The Philip Umber one wasn't that sharp. It wasn't great.
No.
If Brandon Ryan can run to first base instead of arguing with the umpire, that's going to be a no-hitter instead of a perfect game. So I'm going to go with Burley. Then I'm going to go with Lucas Giolito. He was filthy versus the Pirates. Then Rodon. then Umber, and then what were we talking about? The other
Burley
Burley
no-hitter.
I would say the
fifth.
other Burley no-hitter would be before the Philip Umber perfect game.
Okay, so Umber perfect game is the fifth out of that.
Yes.
It's a perfect game, Vinny, but it's clearly not even good enough to be
poor Phil Umber.
Finish in last place. If you have to rank them, top 5 no-hitter since 2000, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea that Herb was doing there is that, you look back on it nostalgically, right? So, everybody loves Mark Burley. Mark Burley should go to the top. No one cares about Phil Umber anymore, so Phil Umber ends up on the bottom, even though it was a perfect game. I'm trying to remember back to kind of some of the moments, and I think the ninth inning of that Rodon one last year was pins and needles, because it was a perfect game at the time, and that play that Jose Abreu made at first base.
Mercy.
I mean, I thought that he was going to blow out his knee. I thought he was going to blow out his knee,
Same.
Preserving Carlos Rodon's perfect game. And what a piece of legend that would have been. It would have been horrible for Jose Abreu and for the White Sox, but to have that be part of that legend would have been incredible. So yeah, I mean, I'll always remember that Abreu play at first base as my hair goes all nuts in the wind. But yeah, and then the catch Engel made for Giolito a year earlier. So yeah, I mean, I think obviously the Mark Burley perfect game is up at the top. Call your sons, call your daughters, call your friends, call your neighbors. Everyone remembers that one. Everyone remembers that one. So that's up at the top. But yeah, I think Rodon deserves a little bit more credit just for how dramatic it was, especially toward the end. And dudes, he was dealing. He was blowing the ball right by those Cleveland, formerly known as the Indians. So yeah, very impressive stuff.
And is that a purpose swear jar? Did you just you want to donate $1?
No, he was.
It was more so being accurate, because that's what their name was when he pitched against them.
So you were covering yourself so you could. All right.
I think too that Burley perfect game that happened in July. All the rest of these happened in April. So
no, Giolito was
June,
August.
August. My bad. Sorry, it was the earliest season. My bad. Sorry,
September, maybe even September.
So that's even more like that for me is even more appealing. Like the temperature was great. It was a warm afternoon in Chicago. I think July 23rd. Beautiful day.
Cloudy, hazy, if memory
serves. August 25th.
And he shut down the Tampa Rays, who I know got no hit and perfect gamed a lot that season and years after.
And many seasons, yeah.
But at the point of that game that Burley had, they had the highest OBP. So he went against the team that was getting on base like 35% of the time and said, F you, you're shut down, all of you. Shout out to Sam Davis. Apparently only Herb and I rock.
Vinny rocks. He already looks like he rocks. So
I was going to say that
goes without saying.
Just in terms of the you couldn't have picked a more weird verb there, Sam, because I mean, by definition, I rock. These two guys might be much better in general, but when we're talking about rocking, we're talking specifically about rocking.
I'm more R&B.
Yeah, right.
I'm going to go Phil Umber last. Sorry, Phil. I'll go Burley no hitter. I'm sorry, 4. I'll go Lucas Giolito 3. I'll go Carlos Rodon 2, just because I like the drama of it. I know that Giolito's was probably a little bit cleaner, but it really did feel more dominant, Rodon's. And I also just love the storyline. It's a second start, first start at home, first start with fans, right? Or it was close, and it was still fans were.
It was like a good percentage of fans there, right?
It was his first start with White Sox fans of the year.
Okay, yeah. So I think it was just a really special moment.
Seattle, which was they had fans there, yeah.
So that was a special moment. I really love that, and I was at the Burley perfect game. So I mean, that's the greatest White Sox game that I've ever seen and will ever see. So I mean, that's just not even fair. If I was at any of these, they'd probably be one. But I was also at just the best one, being Burley's perfect game. If you enjoy CHGO, one way to help us continue to grow is to download the PointsBet app and use code CHGO when you sign up. Not only are you going to get 2 risk-free bets up to $2,000, but if you make a $50 or more first-time deposit, you'll receive a free CHGO membership, which unlocks all of our web content, and you'll even get a free shirt of your choice from the CHGO locker. If you have any questions, email pointsbet@allchgo.com, and we'll help you out. And in case you missed it, online sign-up is available in Illinois. You can actually download the PointsBet app right now and register from your account from start to finish, all from your phone. You'll be signing up with the fastest sports bet, easier than ever, so you can start living your bet life in seconds. So what are you waiting for? Once the game starts, don't just bet. Live your bet life with PointsBet. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-522-4700. And shout out to our guy Shane Spagnola. He's saying Vinny's mustache rocks. I know I saw Bruhan Luke in here. I saw Little Yumper in here. Shout out to those guys. And Bruhan Luke, obviously of the 108 Run Club, he's saying Herb's going to win the White Sox Dave region of the 108 tourney. Herb, how you feeling? We haven't talked about this yet, and we'll get to the Twins next.
I'm feeling great. Going against Shane Reardon. He's a guy who can cook some food, cook some steaks and things like that. But I think my following's a little bit bigger. Ooh. I rub people the wrong way less than Shane.
You're less of an aggravator.
Fewer times than Shane. And then I survived last year versus a formidable opponent in Sean Anderson in the first round last year. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not the Illini. I will be bringing my game in that first round 100%. I will not be resting. We'll be going full force against Shane. Of course, cordially. We're not going to be talking smack about him, and I hope he doesn't talk smack about me. Well, I think I can get to at least the third round.
Part of this too is, I mean, Chris Tannehill has to be Switzerland, right? I mean, he can't go against his former podcast host, his lifelong friend, his traveling buddy, and now
lifelong
his new
is a little far, but yes.
Well, I mean,
I think he's going to go for me. He's going to go for me, of course. I mean, come on.
Poor guy. All right. And shout out to Jimbo, who's also in the 108 tourney. So Jimbo gets our official endorsement here, and because he's our favorite Croatian here on the CHGO White Sox podcast.
Well,
are you Croatian?
My fiance is.
Oh, okay.
So he can be your guys' favorite Croatian, but mine.
Good save there.
Mine is Tony Kukoc. Sorry,
Claire's watching, and Claire appreciates the nod. Let's go to the Twins. Big move here. Not a lot of moves so far in the offseason just yet. Really, the only big one has been Carlos Rodon, but there was one trade that was in the division. The Texas Rangers acquire Mitch Garver from the Twins in exchange for Isaiah Kiner Falefa. Isaiah Kiner Falefa.
I had one of those today. It was delicious.
My bad. Yes,
but Kiner Falefa is delicious. They go down smooth.
Shout out to Ryan Tempura.
You needed to rehearse that in the mirror.
I did. Unfortunately, that's the sad thing. Tempura and falafel out here. But let's talk about the Twins getting worse, in my opinion. Mitch Garver, a really good bat, 30 home runs in 2019. I think that they get worse with this trade, even though Falafel has a lot of versatility as a player.
Yeah, he's really good on defense. Mm-hmm. So it's a good get for them. I mean, I think Texas was trading from a position of strength, though obviously there are other positions on the infield besides the two that they signed the big free agents to. I'm going to keep beating my drum that I don't think Texas is very good. So that'll continue to happen. I'm not sold. I'm not sold. You signed two big free agents. All right, good luck. Be better than the Astros and the Mariners, and then we'll talk. But
I think they can be better than the Mariners. I don't know about the Astros.
And the Angels too.
Yeah. Well, again, are they better than the Angels? You know what I mean? I don't think either of those teams have any pitching. So, but anyway, when it comes to the Twins and what it means for the White Sox, the Twins were not very good to begin with, and now they are not as good as they were the other day. Should be easier to carve up that Twins lineup for White Sox pitchers with Garver out of it. And Kiner Falefa into it, even though he will be providing very good defense, might be stealing a few hits away from White Sox hitters, but good news for the White Sox pitchers, I think, on this trade.
Kiner Falefa.
Yeah,
it's fine.
There we go. Good pronunciation. Thanks for saving me.
Thank you.
I torched his name.
There you go. Jimbo says IKF. Just call him that.
IKF. Yes, IKF, and his nickname's the Hawaiian Hustle, which is sick.
Pretty much, they traded out Andrelton Simmons for Kiner Falefa. That's it. They're pretty much the same player. Kiner Falefa's a younger version of Andrelton Simmons, a guy that's might progress to a hit guy, but he hasn't shown it as such. And Andrelton Simmons, the Cubs jumping the market for him. What the hell is that? That was just dumb.
Yeah, but all those Carlos Correa rumors go right out the window.
We're getting Carlos Correa. Oh, here's Andrelton Simmons. Oh, yes. God. Oof. Yes.
The rebuilding Cubs were going to snatch up the top free agent in baseball. Yeah. That was always going to happen, wasn't it?
He's still available. I mean, you never know. And he's selling his house in Houston, which means, everything. That means he's coming to Chicago.
I think the Twins saw enough from Garver, and they played mostly. I think Ryan Jeffers mostly last year, and maybe because of Garver's injury history, but Jeffers is like 25 years old, young catcher. can probably do the same things as Garver did last year. He won't give you the power that Garver gave you in 2019, which I think came to everybody as a surprise what Garver did with that that record-setting Twins home run team. But it's a good move for them, question mark, because they get younger.
Yeah.
And they're not going to be competing this year, so might as well. I don't know where Mitch Garver's contract was lying, but it gives Jeffers the chance to catch 150 games or 145 games if he needs to, and you get some defense that you're sorely missing when you lose Andrelton Simmons.
Production's asking if we want to answer Kevin's question, so throw it up. What's Kevin's question? And I think the Twins too, like if there's any, yeah, it is K-Fits. With the division kind of down, who do the Sox target as their division rival from the bunch? Okay, this is a good question because this is where I wanted to go. K-Fits hosts his own podcast, so I mean he's already leading me. Thank you, K-Fits.
With our guy Matt Zawoski and also Aldo Soto. It's Pinwheels and Ivy.
And how do they stay sharp consistently playing mid-level to below average teams as a bunch? I mean, that was one of the big concerns. This was the White Sox last year really struggled against teams above 500, and they dominated the division. I think that the big thing is the target as their division rival has to be the Detroit Twins. They're just up and coming. They're the best team. They're the biggest threat. Yeah. Oh, the Tigers. Did I see the Detroit Twins?
You did.
Yeah,
yes.
Go Bears.
You should owe us $1 there too.
I do. That's worse. With the
put them together, I think the White Sox still win.
Yes, I do too.
Right.
I'm not afraid of the Twins. They don't have any pitching. Their bats are getting worse. I really don't think that they're a threat. The only teams that I really despise are the Tigers and the Royals, and the Tigers are better than the Royals. So I'm more worried about the Tigers as a Sox fan.
The Tigers are the bigger threat, and their being better should help with that problem, if you want to call it a problem, from last year. A lot of folks do, they were playing bad teams all year because their division was so bad. I don't see the Cleveland Guardians being much better than the Cleveland Indians this year around. I don't see the Royals really being that much better than they were last year. I don't see the Twins being that much better than they were last year. The Tigers should be much better than they were last year, and that should help out the White Sox, give them someone to, go head-to-head with throughout the season. To answer the question, who's the rival? I think right now it's the Royals. The Sox and the Royals got some bad blood. I know there was the benches clearing with the Tigers last year, but I think that was a little bit more confusion than anything else. I think the Royals are the team that – I mean, listen, we always talk about Tim Anderson as the face and the heart and the soul of this team, and he is on record saying he does not like the Royals. So I think it's always the Royals until something else big happens between the White Sox and another team in the division.
And Herb, you know how bad the White Sox are against the Royals. And if you look at the teams that in the AL Central that they played last year, 10-9 versus Cleveland, 12-7 against Detroit. Against Minnesota, they were 13-6. And the only team that had a losing record, 9-10 against the Royals last year. I always hate playing in Kauffman.
Yeah, it's their team always is going to give the White Sox fits. But I think out of all the teams in the Central, we talked about it. It's the Tigers. Last year, I was thinking they're going to give up Jonathan Scope at the trade deadline because some contending team will like him, and it's a nice way to continue your rebuild. They kept him because they know that this year and the next year are going to be very valuable for them. They got, I think, Torkelson coming up. Probably they're going to have Jeimer Candelario start and take Torkelson down a little bit and mess with his service time, and then he's going to come up, and he's the odds-on favorite to win the AL Rookie of the Year. I think they have a pitching staff that is growing. Tariq Skubal, if he comes like he should. Casey Mize is the number one pick in the draft a couple of years ago. Spencer Turnbull, Matt Manning, Tyler Alexander, and I think they just picked up Eduardo Rodriguez over the summer or over the winter. So they're a team that needs to be taken serious. They're not a team like they were last year. They're going to be competing with the White Sox. Like when we look up in September, it's going to be the White Sox and Tigers, I believe. And the White Sox just have a little bit more talent. I think they're going to pull away and have a comfortable 5 to 6, 7 game victory in the AL Central. But watch out. Their team is scary. So that's why striking this year And next year is important because they're going to be that team. You can be like, God damn it, the damn Tigers are here again.
Yeah, and the Tigers too, adding Baez. Baez has consistently been decent against the Sox, a 787 OPS. So interesting to see how he will perform against the Sox. And Fiddler K-Fids says enjoy the Javi Clown show. I thought the Sox actually dominated the Javi just because of their ability to throw high fastballs. And he can chase. And I thought that just their breaking stuff and their fastball was good. But even in 2020, he hit 304 against the Sox when he saw him a lot.
I forgot who in
division.
Sox Twitter called him this name, but it's a perfect name for Javi Baez, Slidey McTaggy. That's his
very original.
Those are his highlights. Like, he can slide really well and he can tag you really quickly.
All right, we got a few
very fun highlights too.
Oh,
to be
delicious.
If I'm just gonna jump in with my opinion, there might be no more fun player to watch, even if he isn't always successful.
I like watching Luis Robert a lot. I think that might.
Well, he is usually successful. So I guess it depends on what you think, what you want your fun to be. Do you want it to be, the result or the process?
Right. We got a couple more quick hitters here. First off, I just want to mention Tigers also have a good closer now. Michael Fulmer, former Rookie of the Year, was a good starter. They turned him into a closer around May of last year. He was dominant in that role. So they even got a closer
Soto too.
I think so, and they might have traded him last year. Gregory Soto, though, I'll look it up. But let's go to Big Z. Let's go to Big Z Man's 34th question. With Kopech going to an innings limit, who do you think the Sox should target as far as any spot starters, or who might be considered as 4th or 5th in the rotation? The rotation 1 through 5 will be Keuchel, it will be Kopech, will be Cease, will be I want to say Rodon, Lynn, and Giolito. Raylo obviously will get some spot starts in there. We talked about Crochet. We'll probably see some spot starts from there. But I mean, Vinny, we even heard pitching depth today from Tony La Russa. That was a big thing for him. Any more expectations? I mean, it feels like an arm might be on the way.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any doubt at this point that they're going to go out and get at least one more starting pitcher, but I don't think people are going to be thrilled with the name when it happens. You know what I mean? I think it's going to be the kind of signings where the guy who can come into camp, can show that he can get the job done, and then goes to the bullpen or then goes to AAA once the season starts, because you got the 5 guys that you're working with already if you're the White Sox. Now, again, that doesn't mean that it won't happen. It doesn't mean that there's not, it's not impossible for them to go out and get a more splashy name to fit in that rotation. They just got to do other work on the other side of that deal to make room for them, and that's fine. But what's definitely going to happen, in my opinion, is depth. And I think you're going to see some guys, that they pick up that people are going to go, this guy, who's this guy? Why do we care about this guy? But he'll end up making 3 or 4 starts during the year, filling in for guys on the IL, and it'll be critical if the White Sox are going to achieve their goals. Think this. Do not think what happened after the signing was made. Think what was happened when the signing was made. I'm thinking a springtime signing like Irvin Santana a few years ago. Do you remember that one?
Yes.
That, again, turned out horribly, obviously. But someone.
When was Ivan Nova signed, Vinny? Come on.
Well, that was a trade acquisition, and he pitched the whole year. So he was
good, and he had a good run. There's an Ivan Nova we can stretch we could talk about from July to August.
He did have a good run. Champagne Ivan Nova.
Can we get back Matt Latos, please?
No one wants that. But but again, when I say Irvin Santana, I do not mean the astronomical ERA after 3 starts that he turned in and then left the organization. I mean that kind of caliber guy who is not going to be a big part of your rotation, but can be there in an emergency.
Yeah, and we mentioned Colin McHugh before. Just looking at him, he's got length ability. He had 5 outings last year where he went 3 or more innings. So, I mean, he can give you length. He's still on the market. And if they move Kimbrel, which Tony kind of alluded to that they might, he would still be happy and grinned when, if he was on the team at opening day. But he knows that it's a possibility Kimbrel might get moved. Colin McHugh, I think it would be cheaper than $16 million and can provide you length and started a couple of games as an opener for the Rays. Herb, I want to go to you. Your friend, John Heyman, says that he thinks McNeil, and he said this on WFAN today, he thinks McNeil is likely to be moved and notes Chicago as a landing spot. So Jeff McNeil as a White Sox, you like the ring of that?
Yeah, that's an improvement at second base. I would love that. And it puts Lurie in his proper position as the 5th infielder / 4th outfielder. Yeah, Jeff McNeil would be a guy, if I don't know what his contract status is looking like right now, but I don't think he costs that much. He's relatively young, lefty bat that the White Sox covet. Yeah, I would love if the White Sox found a way, and if he's relatively inexpensive, Like, we're not have to give up anybody from our major league roster. I'm all for it.
McNeil's 29 and his contract is first year ARB eligible, so he will.
Let's go. Perfect.
Vinny, Jeff McNeil is a White Sox, yes or no? I mean, Kimbrel might be moved in that deal too. So if you are moving losing a guy on the roster, it might be Kimbrel. I mean, I don't know.
McNeil is one of those guys who would be an upgrade at second base, just like Herb just said. I don't know if he would, he shouldn't necessarily be expected to come in and play all-star caliber baseball, but he's the kind of guy that is an upgrade over what they have right now. He would be an upgrade to the lineup. I think that would be perfectly welcome among the many potential guys that they could trade for that spot.
And this has been CHGO White Sox podcast presented by PointsBet. Live your best life using the code CHGO and live your bet life using that code. And again, if you make a deposit of $50 or more in your first time using that code, you will get a free CHGO membership when you sign up. And it's free, easy to sign up using PointsBet. Shout out to Vinnie Duber for joining us in Arizona. Shout out to all of you for joining us on this special Saturday episode. Very fun, and thank you to our production staff for dealing with Vinny's technical difficulties. And thank you for Vinny. You got on the laptop right away. Great job, and enjoy your Saturday and Sunday out there, bud.
Gotta hustle. I've got a bunch of stuff to go right. I've got some transcribing to do. My Saturday night might be a work Saturday, but that'd be good.
Absolutely. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He'll have some great content coming out of Arizona. And if you are a CHGO member, you have access to that. Allchgo.com is where you can sign up to become a member. And all of our premium written articles are behind that paywall now. So that's how you access Vinny's work. Herb, any moves you expect? And yes or no? Will we see a move? Will we talk about a move on Monday?
No.
Absolutely not. 23. Just like Rick Hahn yesterday. Did you have a first call yesterday? Yep. Will there be a move? Nope. Thank you, Herb. You can follow us on Twitter at CHGO_White Sox. You can follow CHGO at CHGO_sports. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. Thank you to Vinny. Thank you to Herb for joining us. And thank all of you for watching. And thank you to our great production staff for getting this together. It went smoothly. I'd have to say, outside of the little 6 minutes we were out with Vinny, it went smoothly. Thank you for watching, and we will see you on Monday.